I know on paper it didn't look that way at all, but they pulled off a major upset. Arch Manning had a not a great first half, came back the second half to do really well, and I think Coach Sark did a great job of coaching that Texas football team to a win.
That was a big win for them. I honestly don't call it much of an upset because if you think about it, Texas was ranked number one or one and two with Ohio State at the start of the year. Um, both have played a very tough schedule, obviously. A&M has played exceptionally well and have deserved all the accolades. But, Texas is, I mean, it's not like they have a bad record and are not a good team. They're loaded with talent. They're well coached. Um, the loss to Ohio State was not a blowout loss. I mean, it was fairly close at Ohio State. Tough place to play. Not many people win there. So, that loss, I'm not surprised by it. Had they won that game, I wouldn't have been surprised either. But, they're a good team, a really good team. So is A&M. And when you have those big rivalries, as you know, anything can happen. And as I watched the game, I mean, Texas outplayed them. I mean, that's the bottom line. But again, some may call it an upset. I'm not surprised one bit that Texas won, and I'm not taking anything away from A&M.
But that's going to be interesting for the college football playoff series committee, right? Do you let in a 3-loss Texas team, or do you drop A&M? Does A&M drop far enough back where they're not in? And obviously, Georgia's a shoe-in now for the SEC championship. But
well, I think what it's done is it certainly has made it more unclear, for the selection committee. But it's going to be interesting to see who they put in. And I think Texas deserves it, but does that mean they get in? You could say, there's multiple teams that deserve to be in that won't be in. So it's going to be interesting to see where they fit in if they do.
what would you do? Would you bring them in and take A&M out? Would you keep them both in? Who do you take out?
I haven't looked at it close enough. The one thing you can say is A&M was a shoe-in going into this game, but being beaten by a team that never really was technically out of it has always been, on the fringe of getting in. They got a few losses, but they are a very good team. They can beat anyone out there. Is that how you look at it? And do you put them in because of that? Or is there a formula? I don't know how they do it. Is there an algorithm that they do based on who they play, the conference they're in, or is it just a gut? If it's strictly just my gut tells me they deserve to be in, so I'm gonna put them in, then it's anybody's guess who'll be put it in. I don't know how that process works.
What would be the perfect way to put together a system where there's a fairness for these teams, especially, I mean, you have a 3-loss now against a 1-loss team. They did play at Texas. Does the game switch if this was on neutral territory? But what would be your perfect playoff format for college football?
Boy, if I knew that, I'd have a different job right now. I'm not smart enough to figure that out, but there are people smart enough. I guess the best way I would explain it, to me, I think you have to take the human element out of it as much as possible. And I think you're never going to completely remove the human element out of it. But there's got to be factors that you don't even look at the name of the team. You look at their record and who they've played and base it off of that. And I'm sure there's some other formulas that you throw in there. Then you get a more, and just as I mentioned earlier, does Texas deserve it? Probably so, but there's probably 20 teams that you could say deserve to be in that some of those won't be in. So how do you distinguish between those teams remains to be seen. And again, I'm not in on any of the selection meetings, but I think when the human element is a big factor in the selection, then you're going to get biased picks, if that makes any sense, uh, or unbiased picks.